Hey, it's Carolyn Grimm with Accounting How To. I'm here today to talk about what to do if you are failing intermediate accounting. Now, first of all, let's talk about intermediate accounting. It's hard, it's dry, it's boring. Ugh, so complicated. But having said that, once you understand how it works, you can turn this around. So let's dig into how you can turn it around. The first thing we've got to do is we've got to figure out why things aren't going well. This is the diagnosis part, okay? And this is really a great thing to do for two reasons. One, to get to what it is you need to do to fix it, but also this is a great opportunity for you to practice thinking analytically, which is what accounting is all about. So this is great. So what is it that you feel like is holding you back? A lot of times with intermediate accounting, it is a shaky foundation in the fundamentals. Every accounting class builds on the accounting class before it. So if you didn't do well in financial accounting or principles of accounting, you're going to really struggle in intermediate accounting because it's going to build on all of that stuff. So in principles of accounting, financial accounting, we talk about how to value inventory, LIFO and FIFO and weighted average cost. Well, in intermediate accounting, we're going to build on that. We're going to revisit LIFO and FIFO and weighted average cost, but we're going to build on that. We're going to dig into more details. What do you do if your inventory gets damaged in a flood, for example? So we take each topic from principles or financial accounting and we dig deeper into it. So if you don't have those basics, you will struggle. So if the problem for you is that you don't have a good basic foundation, I have a whole playlist of videos to help you with that. It's called How to Pass Accounting Class. So once you start to really get those basics down, that's going to improve your chances of doing well in intermediate accounting. Now, it does mean that you're going to have to do extra work, right? But if you're in intermediate accounting, you're looking at being an accountant. Hard work is something you're going to be very used to. So this is great practice. The next thing that I see a lot of is passive learning. I read the chapter or I skimmed it or maybe I didn't even look at it at all, or I watched a video and I still didn't understand. You have to actually take an active role in your learning, whether it's going to class and asking questions or emailing your instructor for an online class and saying, hey, can you explain this to me differently? Can you take a look at my homework and see where I went wrong? So the more you are actively trying to learn this material, the better off you're going to be. This is not a class where you can sit back and go, I'll just say enough words until the professor maybe thinks I understand this is accounting. We have right answers and we have wrong answers. Once you practice those accounting skills more and more, you're going to get better and better at them. But it's got to be you investing yourself in that. You can't just go, hey, I watched the video. You have to actually start typing in numbers into your homework, for example, or reading the problem and trying to understand what it is they are saying to you. The next thing about intermediate accounting is that it isn't so much about the how. That's important. That's those accounting fundamentals. It's about the why. Why do we recognize this revenue in this period of time rather than that period of time? Why do we have to do this adjusting entry? When we start to understand the why behind it, it's all based on rules and principles, then we start to understand the material in a different way. So understanding the why becomes much more important when we're talking about intermediate accounting. Another issue is time management. Now, I know a lot of my online students, some of my in-person students have families, they've got jobs, they're trying to go to school, they've got sports, they got so much going on that it's hard for them to find the time that they need to really dedicate to doing the work that's going to get them to where they need to be. So if that's the issue that you're dealing with, you just have too much on your plate or you don't know how to structure your time, that's a whole different situation. That is a very real problem. I look especially at my students who have full-time jobs and families, and they're trying to balance toddlers and work and school, and your head can explode pretty quickly. One of the things that's been helpful for me over the years, as someone who has been known to consistently try to do more than I can possibly get done in a day, is to really start to say, What are the things that aren't as important? What are the things that I can let go of so that I can focus on the things that are important? When it comes to accounting classes, it's getting a quick overview of the chapter, understanding what you're looking at, focusing on those homework problems, the doing of it. Those are the things that are the most important because that's what's going to give you the skills that you're going to need to do well in the class, to do well on an exam, to do well in your homework, and most importantly, to become a valuable and valued accountant who knows some stuff, right? That's the most important thing. So that time management piece, I totally get it. Totally get it. But if you're going to make the commitment to college, you've got to make that time commitment too. Something else that I see a lot of, and I see this more now than I used to, and I think more now, especially with online classes, students feel isolated. You think you're alone. It's the middle of the night. You're trying to figure out your accounting problem. The deadline's coming up. You just don't know where to turn for help. And here's the thing. It is perfectly okay to ask your professor for help. Perfectly okay. We like to help. Most of us are teachers because we like to help, right? So you're actually helping us help you, and that's a really good thing. But you also have a tremendous amount of resources at your fingertips, literally 24 hours a day. Accounting how-to videos, for example. But don't be afraid to reach out to your professor. You are paying them to teach you. And so you can ask them for help. Now, sometimes I will hear a student say, oh, I don't want to ask him for help because, I'm afraid he's going to yell at me. Ask somebody else. Go to a different professor. Don't be afraid to reach out. This is your education. You have a right to get what you're paying for, okay? And the other thing that I see an awful lot of is overwhelm and anxiety. Like, I have too much to do. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. And then anxiety, like, am I going to fail this class? Am I never going to work in accounting? All of those things that go along with anxiety, like, and it just becomes overwhelming. And that is the point, by the way, professors also have that, right? So we get that. We understand overwhelm. We understand anxiety. Am I going to get my grades in on time? Am I going to get my classes ready before they start? Am I going to be ready for class? We all have that. That is part of the human condition. So when I'm feeling that way, and I'm starting to get overwhelmed and I can feel that building up, that's when I go have a cup of tea. That's when I go out, look around my yard, see what flowers are blooming, touch grass, whatever it takes until I feel like, okay, I'm ready for the next thing. And the other part of that is when you're looking at like the whole thing and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got all of this work that I have to get done. I got to get it done by the deadline. No, you don't. What you have to do is the next best thing, okay? The next step, whatever that next step is, that is all you have to do. And when you've done that step, the next step is the only thing that you have to do. So for me, that helps. It helps to break up some of that overwhelm. And I'm like, okay, I think I can make it through this now. So that's great. If you can diagnose where you're at, that's fantastic. But then what do you do? Then what do you do? So let's talk turnaround strategies. You're not doing well. What can you do about it? First thing, get in touch with your professor. Just say, listen, this is where I'm at. I had this happen, or I'm not understanding this. Can you give me some tips? Can we meet? Can we talk? Can we Zoom? Whatever. Because your professor has seen this before. I can guarantee you they have seen this before, okay? And the times when students have reached out to me and said, I am struggling, or I had this family situation happen and now I'm behind, I have every single time stepped up to help them, okay? That's what we're here for. So talk to your professor, see where you're at, get some tips on what to do next, because they can help you to break down like, okay, you missed this chapter. Let's open that back up so you can go back in, walk you through some things. Professors are there to help you. You are paying them to do that. Don't ever forget that. The next thing you can do is let's take a look at what your lowest score is. So if you're looking at your grades and you've got 32 on one grade, and that is bringing your total down by a lot, then talk to your professor about that particular assignment. Can they give you extra time on that? Can they give you extra help on that? What you don't want to do is wait until the very end of the semester and say to your professor, what do I have to do to pass this class? You are too late at that point. You have let it go too long. So be proactive about that. If you start to struggle, that's the moment that you go to your professor and say, I need help. Don't wait till the last day and say, can you open up all of the assignments so that I can do the last minute, try to cram and pass this class? You are not learning anything at that point. It's all about panic. It's not about education. Don't do that to yourself. Another thing you can do is to set up a mini study plan. Like, don't worry about the whole semester. Worry about this week. Worry about tonight. Worry about tomorrow. What are the things that you can do that are going to help move you forward? And again, if you don't know what to do to move forward, talk to your professor, okay? Because again, we have seen it all, right? We've seen students struggle, we've seen students succeed. We have a lot of help that we can give you. Another thing you can do is to join a study group, or if there isn't a study group, form a study group because other people are also struggling. And it doesn't matter whether it's an in-person class or an online class. If you don't have a way to contact your students, contact your instructor and say, could you ask if there are any students that would like to be part of a study group? The biggest thing that you can do for yourself, if you are struggling in accounting, regardless of which class it is, but particularly intermediate accounting, is to keep it in perspective. This is a college class. If you don't do well in it, let's say you get a C, it doesn't mean that you can't have a career in accounting. I got a C in my very first accounting class. If you fail the class and you have to take it over, it is not the end of the world. In fact, some of the students that have failed a class with me and come back to take it a second time have knocked the ball out of the park the second time through. It's okay. If you're an accounting major, this is only one class in a long line of classes that you're going to take. Okay. So do your best, but don't put all that extra pressure on yourself that if you don't do well on this exam, then your life is over, because it just isn't true. It just isn't true. And also keep in mind that when the grading is set up, if you don't do well on one homework assignment, it is not going to tank your entire grade. Okay. It is a percentage of how you're going to be graded. But the most important thing is the knowledge, right? It's not the grade, it's the knowledge. It's the education that you get. Because if you're working in accounting for a long career like I have, your knowledge is going to grow over time. Every time you see a new situation with a client, you're going to have to learn something new, right? So this is just training for that. Right? That in itself is hugely valuable in the accounting trade. The ability to learn new things, the ability to take something and try to dig into it so that you understand it better. You are learning those skills with intermediate accounting. And that is one of the most valuable skills that you can have in accounting. So if you want to tell me about your challenges, drop them in the comments, because I'm always looking for ways to help students, whether they're my own students or students from around the world. So tell me the problems that you're having. And I either already have a video about that or I will make a video about that. Okay. So don't give up. Keep going, reach out to your professor and see if you can come up with the why you're not doing well and then a plan for doing better. All right. I hope that was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.